UndergroundVideoNetwork.com presents the We Talk Too Much podcast.
This is where the fun begins.
Comic books, superheroes, sci-fi, gaming, and everything nerdy.
That's it. This is just too weird.
Now, here's your host of the We Talk Too Much podcast, Mike and Richard.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Underground Video Network's We Talk Too Much. I'm Mike Loroff, and
I'm Richard Cattlejohn.
And we are joined today by one of my good friends. Richard, it always throws me off when we do this because I always want to refer to the person that's below us as Alice because I grew up watching the Brady Bunch, which is why we will never have 9 people on this show because I will go full Brady Bunch on it. But we are joined by my friend Adam. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Me and Adam have been friends for a while. We're friends through the Heroes for Hope and other events. And Adam is one of those people. I'm gonna get a little misty, Adam, because you're one of the people that I really missed during all of this, the pandemic and everything. Me and Adam have been doing events for Heroes for Hope for a few years now. Mm-hmm. And it was just weird because, you know, when everything happened, you realize the people you've gotten used to seeing, maybe not on a regular basis, but, you know, like a month or, you know, every couple of months, you know, and then when you stop seeing anybody, you start to take it, you know, account and like, man, I haven't seen Adam in forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually got off of social media almost completely. And when I got back on, it was just to host the podcast that I run. So I don't really keep up with any of my friends. Shayna, I rely on my wife to keep me up to date on what's going on with the group and some of the friends that, you know, I don't get to see regularly because I just don't have social media to really follow them anymore. So yeah, I definitely miss it for sure.
And you mentioned Shayna. You get a chance to. You tell her I say hi. She's another one of those people that I miss. Not only is, you know, Adam a part of the Heroes for Hope, but his wife Shayna is too. Adam, you're known for quite a few characters. We have the Spider-Man, but I think my favorite, honestly, well, you're Deadpool.
That was fun.
I love your Deadpool just because you don't rely on you never relied on the really expensive screen accurate movie quality Deadpool costume.
Right.
Your character, your personality is what made your Deadpool. Oh my God. I've seen guys in like top dollar Deadpool costumes that are, you know, but when you slap on that suit, man, it's just like everybody, I'm done. I don't have to entertain anybody for the next 20 minutes. Adam's going to take over the show. And
yeah, that's fun. I like the character, and I like Ryan Reynolds for that. Like that's all you have to do. You don't channel Deadpool, you channel Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. No, you are exactly right. And I think that was one of the problems that people who cosplayed Deadpool made was they were trying to channel Deadpool and not Ryan Reynolds. That's why you nailed it so good.
Right on. Thank you.
It was always so much fun. And I think my other favorite though is you pulled off Doctor Strange.
That was a fun one. It was difficult because I don't have dark hair, period. So like facial hair, when I did grow a goatee, it wasn't as dark as his. I don't really have eyebrows. They're there, but they're really light. So yeah. I always joke about that. And then like, you know, my hair again. But if I added the white stripes on the side, like the white sides, it was better. But yeah, it worked. I think my favorite it was Punisher just because I didn't have to do anything. It just scared people.
No, always loved having you. And Shayna, her Hela.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think she was surprised by how well that turned out.
Oh, but you know what? Honestly, we just talked about that today because I was at Alter Ego there in Lima, and Jared and them had mentioned they'd just seen you because you'd returned the hammer.
Hammer.
Yeah. which
I felt so disgustingly awful about that situation.
No, man. No, and I'll tell you what though, they showed it to me.
Yeah.
And I eyeballed the hell out of it. I'm like, I cannot see. See, a little while ago, while we were doing a free comic book day at Alter Ego,
It's 2018.
our friend Jacob, who I love Jacob to death.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, he is a great Thor. But he had it wasn't even his fault. We won't blame the child, but there was a small incident with Mjolnir, and let's just say the scene from Thor Ragnarok got played out. The hammer had seen better days, and
we did a photo shoot opportunity. It's on your page still.
yes, it is. I that is still, it's literally hanging on my wall. I literally have that picture hanging on my wall. I would pick my phone up and show you, but I haven't cleaned my office in a while. And the dust bunnies are big enough where you could see them. But yeah, that was one of those great moments, and I'm glad we got to capture that. But yeah, me and Adam have been doing Heroes for Hope for a while. I was really happy. I know you dropped off social media for a while, but I kept in touch with Shane. Just everybody, especially with everything that's been going on, it's like I needed space. I needed to step away. Weird, or the world got weird. But luckily Shayna, she kept in touch with enough of us. Hey, everybody's fine, everything's cool. And I was really happy to see that you'd started your podcast. And after quarantine, everybody took a break for a while, and that's back. Adam, please tell us a little bit about your podcast, Phantomonious. I love that. I love your podcast.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it was just 2000. I don't even know what it would be, 16 or 17. Might have been 17. I'm not sure, but I started out of nowhere having some anxiety attacks, and I've never had that before. I've always been an anxious person, but it never felt like an attack. I just constant anxiety, never felt painful until that moment. And I went to the doctor, and I was a smoker and always drank a lot of like pop and caffeine. I still have Monsters, but he got me to quit smoking.
Caffeine, you say?
Yeah. I haven't smoked since then. So, I mean, that was definitely a good decision. But I think that was right around that time that I met the group, and cosplay was real therapeutic. It fed some anxieties, but it was therapeutic to have a group of friends and projects to work on. So that was definitely something. Like, that was one of my saving graces, was finding you guys as well. And then podcast was something I started listening to pretty much a week within starting a new medication and struggling with this. And because I was told, don't listen to music, because when you listen to music, you tend to, the songs, you still think, you go into your head.
Yeah.
So if you listen to a podcast, when you listen to people speak, you tend to focus on those voices, and then therefore you're not thinking. So that's when I was like listening to podcasts, and I really enjoyed that. And so, hey, thank you for the link. I appreciate that. I started to discuss maybe starting one up with some friends. That's all we did, was talk about pop culture. That was our hangouts. And so it's like, well, let's just hit record and see what happens. And I can't do that. I'm a anxious person, and so I spent as much money as I could on all the equipment I could afford, and I started a mini studio. And yeah, we did it since, and a lot of friends wanted to join, so it grew really fast. We had, I think, almost too many people at once. We had 5 people on at a time, and that gets more difficult to talk, but everyone had such valuable things to say. And then with the quarantine, we were all home and we were doing Skype, and it lost a lot of the dynamic we had. And so 2 of the people actually dropped off. It just didn't feel the same to them, and that's understandable. And one of them just had a baby, and the other one was doing stuff with his band. But we came back, and in-house, like once my wife and I moved, I rebuilt the studio in our house instead of at a local music store, which Trojan City Music in Troy, great store. I would definitely recommend them. But yeah, I put it in our house. Like, we have an extra room in the house. I put it in, and we started it back up, and one of the guys actually came back. So we're missing one of the original guys, but other than that, like we're back to where we were, and it's fun. It's a good time. It's all pop culture. It's all it is. Just kind of what you guys do.
It sounds a lot like us. Richard had the idea, because when our show first started, I wasn't around yet, but it was at the Comic Connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Richard just had a great idea. It's just like, the show first.
Yeah, we was going with like Clerks, that's
Right
because
on.
we were just hanging out at the comic shop, so that's just how it evolved, because Peanut and D-Boy was there. And the funny thing was, we was going to review comics, but they would never read the comics before we did the show, so it made it even more humorous.
Right.
Which is why for the longest time the show was called, well, we haven't really talked, but we were behind the counter, because that's how our show started. Was we were literally behind the comic book store counter.
Right.
And even after, things had changed, and, when we were started doing it at, my apartment at the time, or the house at the time, we never bothered to change the name, because we weren't behind a counter, but it still had that feel that we were just, normal dudes just talking about comic books, just like we did when we all worked at the comic book store. But you're absolutely right, though, Adam. I mean, it was one thing, like when me and Richard, before quarantine, we would, our middle ground, because I'm from Delphus, he's from Kenton.
Okay.
Our middle ground was Alter Ego in Lima, Ohio. It was just kind of, damn near a middle point. And, doing it at the comic book store just kind of added a little bit, because, we'd be able to go off on a tangent, because like something would catch our eye.
Yeah.
But since quarantine started, we'd kind of switched over to the audio, and it still didn't, like you said, Adam, it didn't quite have the same feel to it.
Right.
And then
ours is primarily audio, and we're trying to get into video. But if you're used to doing video, then yeah, it completely changes your dynamic.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that.
And also too, the being video, but also being side by side with my partner here, being able to play off each other's cues. It was kind of different, where when we were doing the audio, kind of like what we're doing here, but I'd be sitting at home with the headset on, my ADD, my ADHD probably wasn't well suited for just an audio podcast.
Right.
Because, I'm talking to him, but it's also,
shiny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it really did help when Richard found this service that we use now, because it's not quite the same as being, side by side with my buddy, but I get to see him. I get to see you. I miss your face, man. I miss you. I miss him.
You guys too.
It
makes a difference. Like there is something that it's like a disassociation when you can't see the human face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is nice. Like a lot of stuff's expanded. There's a lot of podcasts I've listened to that don't normally do this. Some of the biggest ones, like Mark Maron with WTF and ID10T with Chris, like those guys.
Yes.
We don't do this. We do in person. That's part of it, is the in person.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we don't have a choice. We can either say we're shutting down or adapt. And they were like surprised, because they fought it so long. Like they were surprised with like, wow, this is kind of nice. We've landed a few people we would never get, because they're just not going to come in the studio.
Yeah.
So it's definitely changed. This has changed a lot of things in the world, but that for sure, from personal experience with all of us, like we've seen how this has changed the world.
Yeah.
All that.
I think you got to look on the bright side, find a silver lining, because I know exactly what you're talking about, because I listen to those same podcasts. And I think even Chris had mentioned, if it had not been for Zoom, he wouldn't have been able to talk to some of the people that he's talked to, because they're on the other side of the country, or in another country.
Right.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, once everything's leveled out, I still look forward to being able to sit in the same room with you, and be in the same room with Richard. But this is this is really nice. Like if we want to talk to our friend Gary, but Gary lives in Columbus.
Yeah. It's a best case scenario, I guess.
Yeah. It's one of those things you have to look at. It's a lot of horrible things happened this last year, but this kind of technology being more, it was always available, but more in the public eye has really done a lot of good for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And even the superhero thing, when everything first started, and it was just like nobody knew what was going on. I was going through costume withdrawal.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I was cleaning out my closet and I'm like,
yeah,
taking the trash out as Ant-Man. But luckily, due to services like this, there was a few things that we were able to do. Public libraries were taking volunteers to read stories.
Oh,
the
cool.
Children in costumes. And, it was just, the geek ingenuity will always triumph, any kind of, bring us your play. We'll figure out a way I'll figure out a way to dress up in that spandex suit. I swear to God, I will.
There's always a need for it.
Yeah.
And always a want for it.
Yeah.
I will never not want to see my Michael in spandex.
Oh, anytime, you name the place, buddy. I'll start a Patreon and you got top tier.
Premium Snapchat.
But Rick, I'm sure you got some questions for him, man. He was talking about studio, man. I'm gonna let you take the tech on this one.
Yeah, you were saying like you guys all record in like the room together, right? So you can feed off each other and stuff.
Yeah.
See, that's what we used to kind of would like to do, because we used to do the same thing. And like we were saying about how this is going streaming, we tried streaming back in 2008. We were actually broadcast. We did a show and stuff, but it just wasn't there yet back then.
I've seen some of your guys' like pictures from back in the day or video clips from back in the day, and that just blows my mind. Like this is all newer to me. Like I've been doing it a few years now, but it's still really new to me. And for you guys, it's been a decade, right? Like you guys have been messing with this stuff pretty much.
18 years actually.
Almost 2 decades. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you've been you hear people brag about being at the forefront of a technology all the time, but there's no proof of it. And there's absolute proof that you guys have been doing this like very early. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we was doing like the local access, because I worked at Time Warner back in the day, and I was testing equipment for another show. So like I was saying, we was in the comic shop and we were joking around, hey, let's just film one day. And we filmed and people watched it. And they were telling the guys at the store, yeah, we watched your show and everything. So it grew. We had like a small little community there in Lima that watched it regularly. And we was on 2 days a week. We were on Monday nights at 6:30 and then Saturday morning at 11:30.
Okay. I would like to do it more often. We just haven't found a way to do that. Making it 1 day a week with as many people as we have has already been difficult enough. So,
well, that's what Mike and me always had trouble. We could never get together a lot of times and stuff. So we would have big gaps in our recording schedule. But I think because we've been doing this and switching back to We Talk Too Much, I think we've actually been on the air the most we've ever been, isn't it, Mike?
Oh, dude, we've clocked more time in the last 6 months than we probably, honest to God, in the last 6 years. Because like when we would do the show out of Alter Ego, 10-15 minutes was like, that was way too long, and it was like,
right.
Having to put the collar on and, Richard would have to leash me in, it's like, Mike, okay, we'll talk about that next episode.
Yeah.
But, being able to do it here. And the nice thing too, Adam, I don't know if Richard mentioned it, about like the way that we do it here is we can still do the video where I can see you guys, but we can still make it purely audio too.
Right.
Which was something
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's something that, Richard kind of had to train me for, because I was still in the habit of seeing this issue right here. This panel right here, and he's like, dude, they can't see you. It's like, look at the artwork in this. He's like, they can't. I'm like, oh, yeah,
right, yeah.
And then when I listen to professional podcasts, like every once in a while they'll make that mistake too. And it's like, they'll make a joke about it. I'm like, oh, I really do sound like an idiot.
That's something we've done before where someone will be like, oh man, like I found this, check out this meme I found. And then we'll have to like I do the social media too. So then I have to try to remember, hey, we'll throw it up on our social media. And then we have to try to remember to post it so that when someone's listening, they can be like, what are they talking about? And they can have that like almost that experience, like they're interacting with us. So but I'm not that great at remembering that. So it's mostly people. But I just actually last week we did we recorded last night for us because as of us recording, it was Friday evening. And then it was Monday, Wednesday, sometime this week. During the week, I actually did a personal interview with one of the guys I follow on TikTok. He's got a couple 100,000 followers and I enjoy his content. So I was like, I would like to just get someone to talk about that type of experience because a lot of us in our podcast are on TikTok, but none of us have that many followers or likes to where we can, comment on that experience. So I had reached out to a couple different TikTokers and he responded. He was thorough and kind. And I was like, this should be good. And we did a Skype interview and same idea. Like I've done a couple that way. I like this. The Streamlab thing's really cool. And the fact that you can link it to Twitch is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But normally I record on Skype and I save the video when it's done. I extract the audio, lightly edit it the best of my ability because it's way different than what I normally do. And then, we just post it like that. So normally we don't even use the video when we do it, but it's something I would like to get into. I think the more interactive you can be with people, the better.
And not to brag, Adam, but correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but I think our followers have hit the double-digit mark.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. I think we're up in the teens now. I mean, not to brag. We might hit that 2-0 real soon.
We had a pretty significant drop after we took our break. And it came back a little bit, but it's not where it was when we first started. So
we had the same problem when we did the audio for X amount of a couple of years there, and we was getting up almost 500 listens, right? And then we kind of dropped off the audio, and then we did video, and then all of a sudden we still haven't got that back yet. So
Well, and now with everything going on, there's way more competition as well. So I mean, you're a drop of poison in the pond, man. Like you're not even impacting anymore.
Yeah.
Like exactly. That's how I feel about myself. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say about everybody, but that's how I feel about us. Like we're just, skim right past this type thing. So,
and it's been said before too. People make the joke that it's like, oh, even my dentist has a podcast.
Right.
I've said this to Richard 100 times. I mean, even back when we were doing the show like on video cassette. If anyone ever is thinking about doing a podcast and they're worried about like, well, nobody's ever going to listen, there's so many, man, F that noise.
Yeah.
Never worry about the followers. Honestly, God, I do this. We've done this. Me and Richard done this because I like this.
Right.
I like hanging out with my friends. If 2 or 3, if I'm happy if like 2 or 3 people do it. But if anybody out there is ever listening or deciding on whether or not to do a podcast, man, never let the idea of followers.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I could do this. If Richard told me, it's like, well, we've had it happen before. It's like, well, something happened. We're not being able to stream live. We're not going to be able to broadcast the show. I'm like, okay, that's fine. How are you doing? What's going on?
Right. Just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that's essentially because that's what I've told them guys. It's like when we started this, it's like, yeah, there's the dream or the goal that something will come out of it someday. But the idea is for right now, let's do it because it's what we already do. Like we're already having these conversations. Yeah. We get together on the weekends, we have a couple of drinks and we talk to each other. So it's like, why not just, put it out there for other people to enjoy and just see how people react to it. And, we'll make adjustments. We've told people that, like, comment, message us, whatever, tell us like, hey, I really like that you're doing this, or God dang, this is really annoying when you guys do this. we'll make the adjustments when we can, but we're also not going to jump through hoops to get famous. It's like, this is what we're doing.
No,
This is what we do. And, we don't have, I'm the producer, so I'm paying for it. I schedule it. I set it up. I do all that stuff, but we don't have someone else like an outside source saying, what you need to do is you need to be online at this time. You need to be interacting this much a day. And it's just like, I have a full-time job, and this is fun. So yeah, I'd love something to come out of it. I'm not going to pretend I wouldn't, but I'm not.
Oh yeah. But I think, especially for like me and Richard, I know you probably have seen it too. I think we learned that lesson earlier in our lives from the movie Wayne's World.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I know me and Richard have talked about it. It's the same thing. They were just two guys that were doing something in the basement
until Rob Lowe showed up and ruined everything.
Yeah. And I hate to interrupt you. Yeah, I hate to interrupt you, but it's 8:30 and it's time to mention Sharpie Markers. Sharpie Markers, the markers for all of your marker needs. And I can't think of it, but yeah.
Speaking of Sharpie Markers,
you son of a bitch, Richard. Really, Richard, you pull out the Pepsi. You asshole.
You nailed it too, man. I tell you. I don't know why people plug products. They get online, they plug these products like they're going to pay them. And I just don't understand it.
I don't. You guys are just sellouts, man. I mean, But yeah, you got to do it for the right reason. If you guys are having fun, man, I absolutely adore and I commend that. That's awesome. That's great.
And I mean, if you're not selling Casper, are you really podcasting?
Really, I know. And
Casper mattresses, the only mattress you'll ever need. I don't have a Casper mattress.
I know. I was trying to work up a Hello Fresh kind of scenario. It's like, oh man, we're running a little late, guys. Oh man, all the drive-thrus are closed right now. Thank God for Hello Fresh. I can just slap that box in the microwave and have a good, refreshing, wholesome meal.
As we suck on our caffeine.
Yeah.
Survival juice.
I would honestly, Richard, I would be afraid to see who would approach us for sponsorship. I know what we're about. I would be afraid to.
Well, back in the day, we always had Lee's give us free tea. So.
Oh, that's right.
Because the Comic Connection was right across the street from Lee's Chicken. So the guys would always start out drinking Lee's tea. So down the road, they actually started getting a jug of Lee's tea to drink on the show.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, man. But no, I'm really happy to hear and see, Adam, that you guys are getting back into the groove of and I love the way that you guys do it too, because I am really jealous of that. Like when I see the pictures of like you guys sitting around the table.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Well, I was gonna tell you that, like, I'll see what I can do here with this iMac thing, this old iMac, but it's not gonna make it. There's we have plexiglass, and I went to Ace Hardware, right on the corner now. I went to the hardware store and I bought 3 pieces of plexiglass, and I told them what size I wanted it, so they cut it for me. And I just bought some brackets and bolted them together and just made like an H. And then I set the H in the center of the table, bolted it to the table, and it just made everyone comfortable. With our group of friends, we see each other all the time anyways, but I wanted people to know, even though that's the case, I wanted people to know that we do take it seriously and we are trying to be as careful as possible. Because I know a lot of people are like, calling out bigger podcasters that do have people in person, and they're like, hey man, like we give them all the stuff they need. I have Lysol in here, I have hand sanitizer in here, I have the dividers in here, and if someone's not comfortable, we tell them you can call in. We have no issue with that, because I absolutely take this stuff serious. I literally this morning, as of recording this, I got my second vaccine shot, so I'm now up to date. I slept for like 6 hours afterwards, but
I got mine Monday.
Okay.
And it was weird. It wasn't weird for me, but I worked second shift. But when I had scheduled the appointment, I was one of those people, like, I want it as early as possible.
Right.
So like, we can get you in at 8:30. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And then I realized, dude, you work second shift. 8:30 in the morning might as well be 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I got up and I went and I got the shot and I came home and I'm thinking to myself, I've got the entire day. Oh, I'm going to do this. You know what? I'm a little tired.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we put we grabbed some Taco Bell on the way home, threw on Nailed It on Netflix, and I was gone. Which
Oh, it's been
I would recommend that show too, by the way. Not a sponsor
Nailed It
as well, but
Oh.
it's just an awesome show.
Yeah, that's one of the yeah.
But yeah, and we have I'm not going to say the details because I don't want to jinx it, but we have reached out to a couple different people, and a certain musician has agreed to be on our podcast, and I'm excited about it because it's someone I grew up listening to, and they are actually they had said they will do an in studio.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, and then we have a music producer that is going to call in. I don't know if he'll do video or just audio, but he's going to call in, which makes sense because he lives a lot further away. Like I said, I won't say the names because then if I do and brag about it, they won't happen. They'll drop out and cancel. But that's the plan as of now, and that's the reason why we set up what we set up, was so that, you know, someone could feel comfortable enough to come in and not worry about leaving sick. So
yeah. Oh, that is I am so happy to hear that. That is awesome.
It's exciting and it's scary. You reach out and there, I mean, it's a shot in the dark every time. I mean, whenever we do land someone that we think of as a big person to us, like a personal hero, that's probably one of 5 or 6 people that we've messaged. You know, it's not, we're just some dudes, you know what I mean? Like, so it's worth it if you like a lot of people to just reach out and just say, hey, we have this thing. You can see our past stuff. And if you're interested, come on. And sometimes they're just like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, nice.
And that's another thing for anybody that's ever looking to do a podcast too. As long as you're very civil and nice about it, a lot of people are just genuinely happy, you know, especially when it comes to stuff like us, because sure, you know, they might get like, is ET even still a show? I don't know. One of those Access Hollywood or whatever, you know, I'm dating myself, you know, I was like,
I think it is. I think it's like News or something like that. Although when you said is ET still a show, I got excited that the like Spielberg ET got a series once, and I was like, what?
Oh. If it happens, I'm taking credit for it. But I know exactly what you mean, because I mean, for our show, we never really strive for like the big names, but like there's been a few people that have been personally huge for me. Like I love the voiceover actors.
Right on.
And you know, granted, you know, 9 out of 10 of the people that I know might not have ever heard the person, but it's like, I don't care if this person is making me weep right now because I love this person so much and he's letting me talk to him.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, and I'm sure the same is true with the musicians, you know, it's just like, it's not an ego thing, but they like it when somebody like genuinely appreciates them.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
it's like,
we landed another podcast interview because of something like that. I had reached out to someone that my wife had started listening to, and then I started listening to them. It's called The Horror Show. They've been around for a few years now. They watch horror movies, typically bad ones, and then review them. And it's just funny. It's just 2 guys that have been friends for a long time talking about shitty movies.
Bad work.
Right. And so like I had reached out to them and I was like, hey, like, you know, fan, we've been listening for a few years now. We're all caught up. We love it. And I was like, I'd really love for you to be on to just talk about pop culture, because they said that they started out as a pop culture podcast. It didn't go well. They switched over to doing horror. And now they're starting to kind of dive into more, not quite pop culture, but they're getting into more like action movies. Like, and now it's not just bad horror movies. Now it's just bad movies. And, yeah. So like, I was like, you know, I'd love to have you guys on. I stress, like, I know that you guys are a very well-known podcast at this point. So I just want you to know, like, I am not trying to like get any clout from you guys or write off your coattails. We're just fans, and it would just be an honor to be able to talk to you. Obviously somebody that listens to them, we would hope would come over as well. And that'd be great, but that wasn't the goal. It was like, even if we couldn't post it, if you said, don't post it, just to talk to you guys would be fantastic. And like they said, we've been reached so many times and asked to be on people's podcasts so many times. and you're the first person that we thought, hell yeah, let's do this, because you seem genuine and like you just want to talk. And you can tell there's always an agenda when people message us. And I was like, yeah, I honestly don't care. I just want to talk to you guys. I think you're awesome. And it was great. It was a great chat. That's, something I pride myself, I guess, in there. Like, if I'm going to humble brag, it would just be like, I don't have any secret agenda here. I mean, obviously there's always, you can't be like, oh, I don't want anything good to happen. It'd be great if something awesome happened from it.
Right.
I'm excited. I'm a fan. I want to talk to you. So
I know exactly what you're talking about. Two of my all-time favorite interviews came from voiceover actors, Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche, Pinky and the Brain.
Yep.
Are these people that are like A-list celebrities? They'll be the first to admit, no, we're voiceover actors, but we have, and when
in that community,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And what was nice was when you mentioned, how you talk to one person, it kind of leads into another. That's kind of the situation me and Richard had with Maurice LaMarche, because I got to meet Rob Paulson, and he was absolutely, I adore that. He is a wonderful human being. About a year later, where was it, Richard? Detroit Fanfare?
Yeah.
Detroit Fanfare, and Maurice LaMarche was there. And I'm like, I'm gonna take the chance. So I'm talking to Maurice, and I had mentioned to him, Richard was there with the camera, and he had a handler with him. And the handler, you could tell her shields were already up. She's kind of like,
especially the camera.
But I had mentioned to him, I got a chance to talk to Rob not too long ago, and I would absolutely love to follow through. And she went to do that, and he's just like, come sit down with me.
Right.
Come, it was
awesome.
And it was because, it wasn't that he was a celebrity that would have gotten us 1 million likes. I genuinely love Maurice, and when you let that genuineness, shine through, they're usually more accepting of it, or receptive to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause there's celebrity chasers, and they know that, where you ride off of their accomplishments essentially. And, I just want to be a fan. I'm a fanboy. Yeah. And I explain that on our podcast every episode, pretty much. Like, my memory for things is terrible, and I enjoy entertainment. I am a person that absorbs and intakes entertainment. A lot of the guys on my podcast have read all the comics. They remember lines from those comics from when they were teenagers. They remember the cartoons. They remember the actors, the directors. They know some of the friggin' producers and artists on some of this stuff. And like, I have no idea. And right. And it's awesome. It's good to have that person. But they'll just start rattling off like, oh, in 1998, this director made this movie with this actress, and that became this and that. And I'm just like, that was a cool movie. Like,
I like that one scene where the guy's head exploded. That was pretty. Yeah.
Well, that's like when we was talking to Marv Wolfman down at Gem City Con, one of the older ones. We went in a whole another direction because Peanut was interviewing him, and he was asking him about Blade, and he had nobody ever ask him about Blade because everybody was talking about Teen Titans, and he was just so happy to sit there and talk about Blade that he just went along with it, and it was really a cool interview in a way because we got to hear about how and why he created Blade compared to everybody was asking Teen Titans this, Teen Titans that.
Right. That's awesome.
Always go obscure when you're talking with somebody, because it wasn't an interview, but I remember, Richard, I think it wasn't the same Detroit, but it was the same Detroit show, but it was another show in Detroit. It was the one that we brought my nephew Corey to. And my ADD was so bad because I think we were talking to a guy getting ready to do an interview. And Peter Weller was being escorted on a RoboCop.
Oh,
was being escorted on a golf cart, right? And he's coming down the lane, and everybody's yelling, "RoboCop, RoboCop!" And he legitimately, he was just kind of like,
yeah. And
out of nowhere, I just go, "Fucking Buckaroo Banzai!" He lit up. He was just like, "Yeah, sure, my man." I'm like,
yeah.
So, always go obscure. They, yeah.
No, I completely agree.
Oh man. But aside from, like I said, I'm really happy to see that you guys are getting your podcasts and everything, especially with quarantine and everything, it's been affected. But at least the last few months, services like Disney and HBO and all of them, they're starting to push out the
content
again.
Yeah.
Because that was another reason why me and Richard for a while, we would sit and talk like this, but for a while it's just like, you want to do a show tonight, and we're like,
about what?
Like,
yeah, that was part of that was a factor for us too. It wasn't just that it was Skype, because like I said, we still do that occasionally when we have to, but it was a lot about the lack of content.
Yeah. But when WandaVision dropped, that was like a game changer, because me and Richard were both like, oh, we've got content for the next 2 months.
Yep.
Followed
by Falcon, and then followed by Loki.
Loki's coming up. Yeah.
There's some other stuff too. And then Ben on my podcast, he had said right off the bat, first episode, oh, have you guys watched that new Superman and Lois? And I was like, no, I haven't. He's like, I think that you would like it. And, a lot of our guys are Superman's the worst DC character. We love Batman, which is fine. Your opinion can be wrong. That's okay. But
you're welcome to your opinion, no matter how wrong it is.
Right. My introduction to superheroes as a kid was Superman.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge DC fan. I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I love Superman. But I was like, I've seen some of the CW shows. I was never one that followed them. The other guys have followed the CW shows, and I was like, I don't want to start this late in the game. And he was like, dude, it's a one-off. I think it ties in roughly, but it's a one-off. Yeah. Very loosely. So he was like, I think you should check it out. And then I was like, man, I don't know. And then what honestly pushed me over the edge was you two talking about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm watching this. This sounds like it's good. And holy shit, it's amazing. I love that show.
Thank you. It is. Oh my God. You know what? I
rewatched every episode with Shayna too.
Yep.
Because I watched them at work at lunch, and then I was telling her after 3 or 4 in, like, hey, you should check the show out. And she's like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I'll watch it with you. Tell me what you think. And we watched that first one. And she was like, wow. Like, holy cow, that's good. Like, yeah. And I had some things that I had brought up on ours as well. Like, I was a little nervous. I don't remember which episode it was, if it was like 3 or 4, but it ended with, it's when the kid was out in the woods and he was shaking. And then you've got Lex is there, like from an alternate timeline. And then there was the dude that's coming in buying the town up.
Oh, Morgan Edge.
Yeah. See, I'm terrible with names. I'm horrible. Morgan Edge. So there's 3, 4 bad guys. And then all of a sudden now her dad is starting to get into something secretive. And I was getting angry because I was like, what the hell, man? Like, that's too much going on. You're losing my interest. It's convoluted. I'm getting worked up here. And then Ben reminded me of something that I think you guys had said, but I might not have caught. He was like, well, this isn't a movie, dude. This is a series. Like, they're expecting 10 years of this. You have to build up 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't just go, here's your story. Now it's over. Like, they have to introduce multiple issues to carry on for years and years. And I was like, okay, I'm on board then.
Yeah.
And that helped me get back into it when I started to kind of lose interest, because I don't normally watch those kind of shows. So it was different for me. But yeah, I think that that's the only hiccup I had. And it's been great.
I do. I absolutely, I could go. We're already 45 minutes into this. I could go another 40. Ask Richard. I could go another 45 into just Superman. But we'll have to have you back on. We're going to have you back on anyways. But when the show picks back up, Rich, what was on hiatus for
until May, the first week of May, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be May. Sorry. I've been seeing the meme. May. But the big one we have to mention because I love having a third person in to talk about it, and I'm glad you made it in for this episode. Spoiler alert, we're going to dive right into Captain America. Oh, sorry. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
First spoiler.
Yeah. Dude, I got to tell you, man, that final episode was it was everything I wanted it to be. It had
I forgot it was the final until like it was over, and I was just like, "Oh man, what the hell could they possibly do next week?" And everyone just looked at me and they're like, "This was the last one." I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I was like, "How do you top this?"
I got to admit, the one thing
America 4.
the one thing that kind of surprised me, and I was almost expecting a bait and switch where at the beginning of the episode where you don't see Sam flying, but you see someone flying.
Yeah.
I was almost expecting, and I think me and Richard talked about this, where sometimes comic book backstory screws up what we're watching because
Right.
I knew from the comic books that his friend that's in the military, what was it, Ramirez?
Takes up the helm of Falcon.
I was really expecting that.
Yeah. I think it'll happen now that they've picked up a season 2.
I do too, because it was the line of dialogue that Sam had when he in the previous episode where Ramirez had said something about, "Aren't you going to take the wings?" He goes, you keep them." I was really expecting that kind of that bait and switch where it was going to be he was going to be Falcon, but we were going to see Sam in the suit, and I was happy I was wrong. I hope to see more of that character.
Yeah.
But to see, man, when Sam come busting in that window, full on, I am not ashamed to admit this. I went full nerd.
Yeah.
Like I'm alone in my living room and I jumped up. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. I paused it. I was just like full on admiring every detail of that suit. That suit is cool. I love that suit so much.
I have to remember that I'm on someone else's podcast right now. We make such nasty comments to things like this on ours.
Oh,
I know what you mean, and I'm with you.
Fucking A, buddy. Oh,
yeah. No, we talked like it. There's comic book accurate to a fault, which doesn't look realistic enough, and then there's too realistic to where it doesn't even look like the comic books. And I think that they found that perfect spot with his suit. Marvel in general has been doing a great job of that. WandaVision, like Wanda's Scarlet Witch suit at the end was such a highly anticipated thing that it would be so easy to mess that up. And I don't know anyone that said they didn't like it. It wasn't dead on to the comic book because it wouldn't make it would look cheesy. The Halloween special was closer to the comic book. Yeah. So I'm glad they gave it to us. And it also lets you know, like, you guys don't actually want this. So yeah, I think that the way that they hit the Captain America Falcon suit, beautiful, looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
And two of the things that I had pointed out on the episode last night was his utilization and his intelligence for the wings, because he knows he's not a super soldier.
Yep.
So when he's battling the girl in the terrorist group and she goes to hit him, she's a lot stronger than he is.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where as he pulls the shield up to block her, his wings snap into the concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when she hits him, he doesn't budge. And it's like, that's smart. Like he is utilizing his abilities. And it also just looked badass.
Oh, it looked badass.
But then, I think what you were talking about was the bridge scene when you did the cover. The thing we couldn't remember without going back and watching it was he holding the shield up? I thought it was on his back, but he drops down and his wings perfectly circle the shield, creating a dome, and the helicopter bounces off of him. And it was just like, that's just awesome. I mean,
And one thing that we mentioned in the when me and Jared were talking about it, the comic book store today, was a point that I made was not only are we getting a badass Falcon / Captain America suit, but that's Wakandan technology.
Yeah.
We're seeing like a little bit of Iron Man tech in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we've seen, we've lost Steve Rogers and we've lost Tony Stark.
We might not have lost Steve Rogers.
Well, I say the comic books bring him back.
Exactly.
So I think there's a chance that, they could bring back the Steve Rogers. If anything, that'd be a great way to end everything. Like when everyone's just getting too old to play the characters and they just need to be done. That's a good way to end this series as he comes back, and then they can be like, all right, let's just start the universe over again. But
yeah. But no, it was the idea that, not only is does the suit remind us of Captain America, but the tech, because we've seen his use of the goggles, which came from Stark Tech before too. Right. But one of the great, like you mentioned too, his use of that suit, because while he was chasing after the helicopter, he hacked that senator's phone.
Yeah.
She got a phone call and he's just like, hey, a little birdie told me that you know how to fly a helicopter. I'm like, that was a Stark move. That was a Stark move.
Well, and that's something that I never, I honestly, till this moment you mentioning that, I haven't thought of this before. So this isn't me being smart. This is me just having this realization, but it makes sense. And it's great momentum forward to say, initially when heroes are first introduced, there wasn't heroes before in the MCU. It was all, we were introduced to them as the world was introduced to them. So we're seeing these people come up. They all have their individual talents. Everybody that they've added since then is affected by all of them. Yeah. So the fact that we've now lost an Iron Man and a Captain America, and now we have a guy that's utilizing Iron Man tech and Captain America tech and mentality. He's combining multiple characters to carry on this universe, this franchise. And I think that while that should just be common sense, I feel like that's a well thought out detail that a lot of people would have overlooked. And again, I'm just having that revelation, but I think that's one of the things that's making it work is, he's not just a one trick pony. He's combining everything he can to fill the void that's been created. So, because
it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that had you switched Tony Stark with Sam in that instance, if it had been Iron Man, chasing after that helicopter, Tony would have done that same thing. He would have been smart enough to say, he even had Red Wing scan everybody. That was a very Tony Stark move, and he learned that stuff. He learned that kind of technique from Tony, and I really do. I think Sam's not only going to be carrying on the Captain America mantle with little nods here and there, carrying on the Iron Man.
We're going to have Armor Wars coming up, so you never know. This might even have to do with that because we're getting Ironheart soon. So, Stark Tech will be around, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's something that we were discussing is how one thing we bring up a lot is how they're going to carry on and how they're going to introduce. They have the rights to everything now, except they don't have full rights to Spider-Man and Venom and that area of Marvel. Negotiating with Sony, which sounds like it's working, but they don't have the full rights to it yet. But everything else they've got rights to, so they've got mutants now, and we're seeing all those hints being dropped. And one of the things that I had thought of during last episode, I was sitting on the couch next to Ben, and I looked over and just randomly as they were fighting with the Shield, I was like, I said, maybe this has been in the comics, but if Captain America ran into Wolverine, like Wolverine has adamantium and then they have vibranium. And I know that supposedly, being a Wolverine fan, was he could cut through everything except his own metal. So what would happen? And he was like, well, technically in the comics, which I'm not up on all the comics, he said that the shield is actually made from a combination of vibranium and adamantium. It's not solid vibranium. Marvel didn't have the rights to it for the movies, so adamantium had never been brought up.
Right.
Like, technically, it is. So I was like, okay, so now that they have the rights to it, this is a different shield, right? Captain America's shield broke.
Yeah.
So they could actually say that this shield is now a mixture. And I was like, how cool would it be if the introduction to Wolverine and mutants and adamantium was that whoever's Captain America at this time, right now it's the Falcon, Sam is Captain America. He's battling some big baddie in the, out of the shadows. You just see him raise the shield in like defense of something, and you just see a claw mark slam into it. And then you pan back and you just see the new Wolverine that we haven't even seen before. Just like, oh my God, how did this not, why didn't this cut you? And then that's our introduction. And then they ask like, hey man, I was fighting this dude and he couldn't get through my shield. Like, how's that possible? And, oh, well, we've infused it with adamantium. And I don't know. I was geeking out about it while I was thinking.
That's one of the great things with WandaVision and Captain America and Falcon, Captain America and Winter Soldier, is they've laid such great groundwork for the future. I even think, you guys can correct me, if in my opinion, I think that Captain America and Winter Soldier has actually planted more seeds for the future of the MCU than even WandaVision did. Because, in WandaVision, we got to see a little bit more of the Skrulls, which will lead up to Secret Invasion. But when you look at Captain America and Winter Soldier, Thunderbolts, Secret Invasion,
so we're Ian on our episode was like, so Agent 13?
Agent Carter. Oh,
yeah. That was her name.
Yeah, she's a Skrull, right?
We're hoping.
No, Rich,
I think she's a Skrull.
That's what Ian thinks. Ian thinks that she's a Skrull.
And
that's going to kick off Secret Invasion because she's infiltrating the government.
Yeah.
And we also noticed very, very, very early, one of the things that someone pointed out to us, which I forgot about, and this is just going to ruin all future projects. Apple doesn't allow bad guys to use their phones. She had an Android.
Yep.
So that makes her automatically a bad guy in this universe.
And if you go back to Endgame, when they were doing all the characters were like dusted, Sharon Carter was dusted supposedly in the lineup. So what did happen to her? Did this all take over for her during that time frame? Because there's no way she could have done that in 6 months. So it had to be time. So I'm thinking the Skrull took her place and set that whole thing up as the power broker. It really makes sense.
But let me ask you guys this, because did you notice at the end of the episode when the government was, apologizing to her?
Yeah.
Before the blink, Sharon Carter, or before, she not arrested, but went on the lam.
Yeah.
She was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. And when the government said that they were going to reinstate her in her old position, and she said yes.
Yeah.
Did they mean S.H.I.E.L.D.? Is S.H.I.E.L.D. back?
Or was it the CIA? Because technically she was also in the CIA.
True, yeah.
In the MCU. Because that's how they originally set her up, was in the CIA. That's before she went on the run. When Cap asked her for help, she was working for the CIA.
That's right, yeah.
It'd be interesting, though, to look into that more and see what they might have planned. Like, it's a possibility for sure.
But no, you actually, that absolutely makes complete sense, because that was one of the things that we talked about today Josh was kind of like, man, I don't like the idea of Agent Carter. I don't like the idea of Sharon being a bad guy. But then it was like, well, she's still probably really tight with Nick Fury.
Right.
So her being the power broker could be seen one of two ways. It could be, she is a spy.
Yeah.
She could be doing all of that as, undercover spy work. Like the point I made is bad guys are out there. They're going to need weapons. They're going to get them one way or another. But if Nick Fury puts her in a position of that power,
right,
he can keep check.
He knows who has all the bad weapons and everything.
Right. But also, I love the idea that she could be a Skrull, and I'm really kind of excited about that idea that she ends up being a Skrull.
But I also think if she is a bad guy, why didn't she die? Because doesn't all bad guys die in the Marvel universe except for Baron Zemo?
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing I really liked about this series so far was, well, not even just the series. WandaVision did it a little bit too, but this one was a little more on the nose with the terrorists weren't bad guys.
Yes.
They were doing bad things for a good reason. And that's something that Captain America, aka the Falcon, was trying to illustrate to them. Like, hey, I'm 100% on board with your mentality, but what you're doing is the wrong way to handle it.
Yep.
Let's come up with a better way to handle it. And I think that that's an important thing. Like even Zemo, who his initial thing of like, people shouldn't have this serum. People shouldn't be super soldiers.
Yep.
What he's complaining about has logic. It's how he goes about handling it. And I'm seeing a lot more of that gray area on what's good and what's bad. And I really like that. It's not because the world isn't that way. It's gray. And so the idea that like everything's like, you know, twist my mustache, I am the evil guy. Like we're starting to get away from that. And that's fun because you're watching it and that could play into what you're saying about her. Like Carter, you know, is she a bad guy? Well, she's the bad guy, but you know, could she be redeemed, or maybe she's faking it? And I think that's I don't know. I think it's really good, and I think it's really intelligent that they're doing that.
That is the one thing Marvel, I mean, even from early X-Men days, has always done really well by their villains. Is I've said it 100 times where the best villains are the ones who are doing what they do because they genuinely believe it's the right thing.
Even Thanos.
Magneto is the greatest example of that.
Yeah.
That's what makes Magneto such a great villain is, he's a bad guy and he's doing bad things, but from his point of view, he genuinely has a genuine, argument. It's like, I saw my people exterminated, and now as mutants, I'm seeing my people exterminated, and I'm not letting that happen again.
And you have to be able to convince the viewers of that too. That's what makes a good villain, is when you sympathize with them. You need to be conflicted. You can't be rooting for or against the villain. You have to be conflicted in what they're doing, and they're doing a good job of that.
That's why, what's her name with the Flag Smashers? Exactly like you said, she made such a compelling bad guy.
Right.
We
knew she wasn't the big bad. You could just tell.
Yeah. But it was, she made a compelling point. And Sam, I'm telling you, that moment with Sam confronting the senators was one of the greatest things I've seen in a long time. I watched that speech twice because he nailed it on the head. It's like, you people have enough power.
Yeah.
You people have like the same amount of power as a mad god.
Yeah.
This whole
series, this whole series addressed race, like systemic racism.
Yep.
Political power. It discussed refugees.
Yep.
Immigrants, economical issues, and none of it was beat around the bush. I mean, we're not messing around. It's in your face. Yeah. I loved that because it didn't feel political, but they're like, we're not pretending anymore. We're not shying away. We're not going to sugarcoat it because we don't want to piss anyone off. This is the world.
They didn't pander to the audience.
Right.
Like, in the MCU, everybody's loving neighbors and everything. How they dealt with Isaiah was
beautiful.
That was beautiful. I mean, legitimately beautiful. And I'll be the first to admit, at the end when Sam took Isaiah and his grandson to the museum, I was almost in tears.
Yeah.
When Isaiah started to cry, I was right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Ian had said that whenever he gave his speech a few episodes back, he was explaining to Sam the details, and he was showing him pictures and the letters. That scene, he was like, it was just long, just him talking to Sam and Sam listening. And he goes, that scene gave me, Ian gave him the same feelings as when he listened to Quint in Jaws talk about the ship he was on.
Yeah.
That super, like you are like leaning in and you're intently listening to the story and you're almost there. And he was like, that's the only other scene that really impacted me like that. So,
and I really love the way they handled Isaiah too, because they never made how do I put this? They never force fed us the idea that he had the super soldier serum, that he was still but it was small little touches, like when Sam went to visit him and they were in his backyard. When they never drew attention to it. It was very subtle, but when he picked up that gigantic planter with the tree in it, without even batting an eye, he just picked up this, probably like 200-300 pound, whoop, bop.
Yeah.
And it was so subtle that you're like, oh shit, that's right, he is, you know.
Yeah,
but But we'd mentioned what I'd mentioned before too about all the seeds that they've been planting. His grandson right there is yet another seed, because we've seen in WandaVision, we've seen her sons Wiccan and what was it, the fast one's name, Richard? It was something. It was something goofy like Quick or Speed.
Something like that.
Yeah. But we've seen them too.
Yeah.
We know they're still in production, but Hawkeye with Kate Bishop is coming.
Yep.
So she's there. Captain Marvel or
Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel, thank you. She's coming. We've been properly introduced to Isaiah's grandson, and that was one thing that they never touched. That was the one thing I wish we would have seen. It could have been so subtle, but if we'd have seen his grandson do something, I don't want to say super, but you know what I mean? Like if he'd have picked up, like, even if they didn't address it, if it would have been
was his powers genetic then, or did he also get serum? Or did the serum genetically alter?
Yeah, he's genetically altered, because he's like, something happened to his dad. I can't remember the whole story from Truth, but that's how it evolved. He's like generically changed, so his structure is that. And I think he had hit it when he was in puberty, like mutant style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right on.
But
they brought up that character. Some of the guys mentioned that, and again, stuff I wouldn't know otherwise. So for a lot of people viewing this stuff, they probably aren't privy to that. And I knew that they were building the Young Avengers, but I don't know who it is every time until someone says it's going to be that guy.
Which is great, because even for people like us who are familiar with like the Young Avengers and the comic book stories, it's great. But it's also great for people who aren't, because it's even more of a surprise for them when it pays off later on. It's just like, oh, wait a minute, isn't that the kid that was Isaiah? Wasn't it Isaiah's grandson?
Right.
They may not have picked it up from the comic books, but if it pans out in the future in the MCU, even they've got a nice little callback. It's just like, oh, that was his grandson, and then they can go into, I'm super strong. I got this from my granddad.
Right. That's awesome.
Another great moment I loved in this episode, and it really, I don't know why it threw me so much, but when they were evacuating the building, when Bucky first got there, as Bucky's making his way through the crowd and he gets to the police, did you notice the police stepped aside and said, Sergeant Barnes, and let him through?
Right.
That didn't hit me as hard until I was like, wait a minute, did I just see what I think I saw? And I rewound it. And like, he flat out walked through that group of cops, and they acknowledge and respect Sergeant Barnes and let him through. It was just like, especially going from the Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
It seemed like such a great little redemption arc.
Yeah,
you know,
he has, which
to
is what a
see
lot
the
of his story was about. Like he, even Sam
man.
told him, he goes, "You haven't been redeeming yourself; you've been avenging."
Yep.
And that's when I think that's what broke him to finally say, "Well, the last one is true redemption. That one I have to do." And that's him finally telling him.
I'm actually wrong. I have to eat my own words. He's not genetically. He actually had a blood transfusion from his grandfather to save his life.
So that could be coming up in the next season.
That could very well happen.
I'm sorry, I had to look it up because I wasn't 100% sure, and for some reason I was thinking wrong. Because actually, his mother is the one that's related to the grandfather.
Okay.
So
okay. Yeah.
So
at least that's how it was in the comic books. I went to the database. I went to the Marvel database and read it real quick, and that's how it was. And he was given the blood transfusion. I forgot all about that. It's been forever since I've read Truth.
So they pulled a She-Hulk, and it was through a blood transfusion.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get a similar idea when we get into Thor, because that's, at least in the comics, Jane Foster's dying of cancer, and is it Thor's blood transfusion or something with his power that brings her back?
I think she picked up the man. They considered worthy.
Yeah, she was because she was dying of cancer in the comic book, and then when she picked up that allowed her to transform into the female. Of course, now is she going to be a love interest to Sam Wilson later on? Because in the comic books, that was part of the New Avengers, that whole relaunch when he became Captain America and stuff. So I would love to see that happen down the road.
I don't know. I still want to see him in Captain Marvel, because that was from the comic books too. And they even very slightly, they never alluded to it, but there was everybody commented on that moment of chemistry with all of when Black Widow was talking to everybody in the holograms.
Yeah.
There was that little bit of eye contact chemistry. But come on, not everybody needs to be shagging everybody else in the MCU. Come on, let's
It's
another thing,
the Marvel Cinematic Orgy.
Yeah. But another thing I really appreciated in this final episode was the use of Batroc. Because I appreciated that they brought him back for the fight with Sam, because if you look at the other Avenger Captain America movies, we saw Steve, whoop the shit out of, all these, bunch of soldiers. But it was in Winter Soldier that we got to see the first real drawn out fight with Captain America. And Cap was fighting Batroc, who had skill, but he was still a normal human being.
Right.
He wasn't augmented in any way, but he still gave Steve a run for his money. So it was nice seeing that character used to cement Sam's position as Captain America. Fighting someone who gave Steve a run for his money.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they brought him back, the character back, for that fight. It could have been any random, just super soldier guy, but they brought in Batroc for, I think it was for that reason, to kind of like bookend. He fought Steve as Captain America, and now he's fighting. Yeah, that was a hell of a good fight too.
Yeah, it was. I know a lot of some of the stuff that my guys brought up, like how often the shield isn't as the two things was Bucky fighting Captain America, in quotes, US agent, whenever when they took the shield from him. That fight, they were like, man, they nerfed Bucky. Like, why isn't he strong enough to fight him? And I was like, I feel like I have excuses for that, but they felt that it was like his abilities were played down, and that it should have been a lot easier for him to beat U.S. agent at that time. I feel like that it was justified that U.S. agent was a little bit stronger in that moment because, you know, Bucky's a little, just slightly out of shape. He hasn't been full Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
But then,
I'll agree. Yeah,
but then, like, U.S. agent, like, he's driven by an immense rage. And
yes,
he didn't, like, they never show him really beat anyone until they see him get mad. So it shows you that his rage is fueling his power in a sense on that.
Yep.
And so I'm okay with that. But then the other thing which I had trouble explaining was when he is fighting, when Falcon / Captain America is fighting. How do you say the dude's name?
Batroc.
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 Okay, Batroc. All right.
Batroc.
When they're fighting that dude, when he's fighting him, he throws the shield at him. And he just kicks a chair up and it knocks the shield down. And everyone in the room was just like, nah. And I was like, crap. I was trying to like explain it. Like, oh, don't get too mad. Like maybe it was this and this. And they all were just like, shut up. No, that was dumb. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Cause it should have still, you know.
Yeah.
But I did like how when he did that back kick, and that was more like the comic accurate.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
Like how he would actually do that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a very well choreographed fight.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it was it was very well choreographed, but it was very well choreographed for Sam's style. It wasn't just it wasn't Steve's fighting style. This was Sam's fighting style.
Yep. Yeah, they're not, and that's something I like is they're not replacing people. They're progressing a character. Yeah, the Captain America progression isn't replacing Steve Rogers, and they're explaining through this whole story, this whole season, you can't replace Steve Rogers. And really the issue is almost like it hasn't been resolved, but there is like the issue of can you even replace Captain America? And you know, some of my guys said that they don't feel like you should be. They're like, I don't think that Captain America should be something that can be fulfilled and refulfilled by people. It's a person and that's it. And I was like, well, that's technically not true because even the comic books that created these characters have made, you know, Steve Rogers been Captain America. The Falcon has been Captain America. Bucky Rogers has been Captain America.
Yep.
Like it absolutely can be passed down. It is whatever. I forget. Moniker. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the guys disagree with that. It shouldn't be. I'm fine with it.
Well, there was even Captain America's before them too during the 50s. Or he was replaced during that time too.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm fine with that, but I like that. I like that stuff is bringing up issues, and it's not just nerdy stuff. That's the stuff I like to debate too. But the fact that it is getting a little bit political and economical like that's fun, but it's not overbearing. It's just a driving force of a storyline.
Yeah, it played very organically. Like one of the lines that I absolutely I really liked and I appreciated was like from one of the first episodes when Sam and his sister went to go to the bank. He's like, let me do the talking. I know how to talk white people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have friends that will say the exact same thing. It's like, yeah, that is a legit thing.
Absolutely.
And I like the way they handled it because it wasn't forced. Everything that I felt happened in that show happened very organically.
Yeah. Well, because it was based on reality. I mean, the fact of the matter is all these things are real issues and they don't try to embellish them. They just point it out. And it's like, you can't argue if they're just pointing out the facts. It's just, is what it is. Yeah. I think that was great.
And I really liked the, when Sam landed and he's surrounded by the senators. What was it? The one kid said, look, it's a black Captain America. And the one guy next to him goes, no, that's Captain America.
Right. No, he said Black Falcon.
Oh, Black Falcon. That's right. Yeah.
Because he kept being called Black Falcon during the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. What did he say to that kid on the street that day? He's like, oh, you're the Black Falcon. And he was like, do you call so-and-so the white something? He was like, no. Or no, are you the black kid or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Black kid. Yeah.
Like he made the point. He's like, no, you're just a kid. Like you don't have to call me by my race. Like you don't have to point it out. Like you kind of let that kid know that, which I thought was funny.
But I absolutely, again, I gotta mention, I loved Sam's speech. It felt very, that was a Captain America monologue.
Yeah,
that wasn't
and
that
the main
wasn't a
senator
Sam
that was trying to like play it off, or almost mansplain or white splain. Like, well, I get your point, but the facts of the matter are there's just nothing we can do. And he was just like, no. And you'll notice that he interrupts him less and less to the point where he just shuts up and listens, which is what he needed to do.
Yeah, that was, oh man, that was so good.
And he didn't get angry with them.
Nope.
He was firm but fair.
Yeah. And I liked how Sam pointed out, about him being a black Captain America. He goes, look, I can even feel the judgment right now.
Yeah. I loved that.
I love that. He goes, I can feel it
in this
right
moment.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But
said, you know what? I'm not your substitute teacher. I'm the replacement.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm not here. I'm not here for a week.
Yeah.
A month. I'm here. This is,
Which I'm glad he did it, because we pointed that out when they fought U.S. Agent to get the shield away from him. In that scene, Bucky is the one that gets the shield, and he walks over and drops it next to Sam. And the look he gave, like those looks that they gave each other, were everything. And that look, I mean, it flat out said, like, that look said, you never should have given it away.
Yep.
I think you know that now.
Yep.
Take care of it this time. All of that was said with just him looking at him and walking away.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautifully done. Great actors. Great storytelling, the writing. I mean, there's so little that we can pick apart on these shows lately. They're just phenomenal. Great entertainment.
And the thing that makes the two of them work together so well is, and you don't see it very often, but the two of them as actors have such great chemistry.
Yeah.
Because you could put word for word the same dialogue and have two different people read it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't feel the same, because Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan just have this natural chemistry that we saw even back in Civil War.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like this I love the scene in the car, because it was fun. The first moment was like, can you move your seat? And he's like, no. That was entertaining.
Yes.
But a moment later, where Cap kisses Sharon and you see the both of them and they're both in the car at the same time going,
yeah,
that was chemistry.
Yeah, they're showing that they're very similar.
Yeah.
No matter how much they try to argue with each other.
Oh,
they're so much alike.
Dude, I love the two of them together.
Yeah.
And to see their relationship naturally progress from, like Sam said, he goes, we're two dudes that work together that had a common friend.
Right.
To that last episode, when you saw the two of them, like, no, those are buddies now. That's what was
funny was, and I if this is considered out of my place at all, and someone wants to call me out, I'm fine with that. And I'll address it. But we are fans of TikTok and the trends on TikTok. And one of the things that one of my buddies had said when we were watching previously, whenever they were working on the boat, you see Bucky getting along with the entire Black community in that area.
Yes.
And one of my friends was like, I'll bet he gets invited to the barbecue, as a joke, because that's the common phrase on TikTok now, is the white guy gets invited to the barbecue because he's cool enough. And like I said, hopefully that's not offensive. I don't mean it that way. I think it's a funny TikTok trend. But at the end, the last episode, he's at the barbecue.
He's at the barbecue, yeah.
So I loved that.
And if you think about it too, it was weird. It's weird to mention, but both Steve and Bucky came from a very different time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Steve has had more time to acclimate himself to modern times than Bucky did.
Yeah, because he's only been recently freed.
Yeah.
Like he's been unfrozen and thawed. Like he's been unthawed several times. Like he was unthawed while Steve was still frozen.
Yeah.
because they'd bring him out and then put him back in, then bring him out and put him back in. So he's gotten glimpses of changes, but he couldn't experience them. And he was under mind control while he was experiencing them in the first place. So yeah, he's only recently been free. So yeah, I see the point with that 100%.
I think a lot of that has to do with the time that he spent in Wakanda.
Yeah. I'm so glad they showed that clip too of them working with him to break that.
God,
that's beautiful.
Dude, that scene by the fire.
Yep.
Where she's saying the words. I mean, I felt my heart. I felt that lump in my throat.
Yeah, and then she goes, "You're free," and he just breaks down.
Oh my God. That was
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That makes me a little sad now.
But you can't help but mention too the fact that Bucky was kind of hitting on Sam's sister.
Yeah, that was.
And
funny.
I mean, it goes back to the two of them being such good actors is because, like when he introduced himself to Sam's sister, it wasn't just the dialogue.
Yeah,
it was his facial expressions. It was the it's like, hey, I'm Bucky. Just,
yeah. It was, he was flirting.
Man,
he was smitten.
He was so full of smit at that moment. That was one of my favorite moments was still because it was such a juxtaposition from the badass Winter Soldier that we were introduced to was on the boat again. Mm-hmm. When that valve came undone. And Sam goes to fix, and Bucky's like, "Let me do it. You're doing it." It wasn't like you're doing it wrong. He's like, "You got to go up on it."
Yeah.
And he grabbed the wrench, and then Sam's just like, "Dude, why didn't you use the metal arm?"
Right.
And Bucky was just like, "I'm not
right-handed.
I'm right-handed." I don't know why that infatuates me so much because it's such a human.
Well, I know, and like I agree with you, and I also don't understand why, but someone made a meme out of it already. Like they not even really a meme. They just put the two images together, the sentences, and I had saved it and showed my wife because my wife is a very, very big Winter Soldier fan. Part of it is Sebastian, obviously, but she likes the character as well. So yeah, she loved that part as well, and she was like, that honestly like reminded me of me. She felt like that like humanized him because she was like, she's studying to do engineering, and with an engineering degree, you are considered extraordinarily intelligent because she is, but there's also that human side of you where you're kind of scatterbrained too, which she is, which is why I love her. So I relate to that.
Technically, let's not read too much into that because technically I have an engineering degree too, and I'm a dumbass.
I don't think
you're absolutely right about Shayna. I've met Shayna. Shayna is brilliant. But I mean, reminder to humble her, like engineering degree, dumbass, But no, I know exactly what you mean. I was like, yeah, it was very humanizing. It was, and another moment that was very humbling was when they showed in the first few episodes when they showed Bucky sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, was a great callback to Sam and Steve without being in your face about it, because Sam and Steve had that same conversation about the beds being like marshmallows and
yeah.
But then
they
showed Bucky sleeping on the floor, and he couldn't sleep. He was having nightmares. Mm-hmm. But when he stayed at Sam's. When he woke up on the couch with that big shit-eating smile on his face, that one little moment alone, because it was cute to see the kids playing, with the shield. It kind of overshadowed it, but like when you realize that Sam had a good night's sleep and he woke up with a smile on his face, you're like, oh man, he
felt safe. He was comfortable. He was safe. He was in a good environment.
Yep.
Yeah. He has family again.
Yes.
When's the last time he had family?
Yes.
Like Steve was family, but he hasn't had family.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time he felt that feeling of safeness around family. So,
I agree.
Didn't really think about that either. So that's a very good point.
But seeing their relationship go from like Sam said, we're two guys that work together that have a common friend to what we saw in that last episode. I love no way I still love too, like when Sam was done with his speech and he approached Bucky was just like
I was playing on my phone.
Yeah, I was texting somebody. You lost me after Black Captain America because I was texting somebody. I'm like, you son of a bitch. That was a best friend thing to do.
Even though the whole time he was just standing there smiling with his arms crossed, just big smile on his face. So proud of him.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah. No, exactly.
That was so funny. I was texting. Yeah. I lost whatever you said.
Yeah.
Screw you, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh man. Dude, I adore the two of them together, and God, I need more. You know, like if you told, well, we know that we're not going to see another WandaVision,
right?
And I'm okay with that, but right. I need reassurance. Like, reassure me we're going to see more of the two of them together. I need that reassurance because I love the two of them together.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, they're fantastic together.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's completely blowing away my expectations of stuff. Everything is. I didn't know what to think because again, I said it multiple times, but I don't read a lot of comics. I subscribe to a few. I've got my folder I pick up. I like to buy completes when they're done. I'll buy a whole collection of stuff. That's fun. But I didn't know much about their run together and seeing I knew that Falcon had been Captain America, but I am a Winter Soldier fan, and I was super excited to see him as the Captain America.
I gotta admit,
I ended up happy with how it ended up. I have no issues with either one of them being Captain America. I just knew more about the Winter Soldier's Captain America, and I was excited for that.
Yeah,
but the way that they did this story, I have no issues with
none.
Just being Sam.
I
make Bucky Captain. That's fine.
Yeah, I am so happy. Rich, you'd probably be able to confirm this one. They have confirmed that there's going to be another Captain America movie.
That's what they've been saying. The head writer for the series has been set to write the script and everything. So there's going to be Captain America 4. So
I think Ian had said that night that literally hours before the episode dropped, or hours before, whatever it was, they had come out and said, we're going to do a Captain America 4 with Sam. And then the episode comes out and you see him on. And I was like, nice play. I like that. Nice power move.
I appreciate it, and I cheered too at the end of the episode where we normally see the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Captain America and Winter Soldier. I literally was like, yes.
Yeah, confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, they didn't even pull any punches with it too. They went full U.S. agent with John Walker.
Yeah, I was so happy.
Oh man,
that's another one that I've learned about from this show. As soon as they showed there's going to be a new Captain America, we're going to introduce him. Like two of the guys on my podcast was like, it's U.S. agent. I was like, who the hell is U.S. agent? And they were like, dude. And they like pulled up pictures and they explained it really quick. And they were like, literally all they kept saying whenever I asked who he was he's a dick. And I was like, okay. And then like you start seeing this, it's like, oh man, this is intense. And like they were complaining about his suit, like, it should have been black. And then at the end, you get the suit, you get the name. And I was like, I love that they did like none of this stuff. Within 6 episodes, we got U.S. agent in his full form. We got Captain America in his full form. Like they didn't leave much just hanging there. Like they gave it to us. And I'm like, oh, I feel so satisfied. Like they built it up and just gave it to us. It's like
the only thing I would have liked to have seen was at the end where John comes out in the full USA agent outfit. I would have liked to have seen the contest because she said, don't call me that. They'd have showed her hand him a new shield.
Yeah,
that looked more like the U.S. agent shield. Just
something's going to come from that. Absolutely. I don't know. I don't know if that'll be like the first part of the next season or if he'll come up in a movie maybe, but
Yeah.
something's gonna show that new Shield for sure.
Yeah.
And that's something that if I learn more about that, it might help give me hints as to when it'll come into play, because I didn't know that the Captain America shield had adamantium in it. So, maybe there's something I can learn about U.S. Agent Shield that will hint to me when it might come into play in the universe as well. So, because I don't know anything about the character, but I love that they're doing it.
And speaking of her, though, I like that moment she had with John Walker's wife, where she had just read about the car explosion on her phone, and she goes, "Oh, I had nothing to do with that, or did I? I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't.
Or am I?" It was just like God.
It's showing that character who, like, again, I don't know her from the comics, but in the show, to me, the way I feel about her is, well, this lady's a psychopath and she's unpredictable. So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Who knows what she's gonna do? Which is scary. It's scary to not know what a character is gonna do.
Oh yeah, and the way she played it too, like you said, like a complete psychopath, because she wasn't like Nick Fury serious all the time.
Right.
It was that she had that weird sense of humor about her. It's like, oh, what's he doing in there? What takes him so long? She was very personable.
Yeah.
Which makes her even scarier.
Yeah. She's hyper. She's entertaining. She's fun loving.
Yeah.
Yet, not afraid to kill your cat in front of you. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah, I'm pumped, man.
I am. I'm super. I have no complaints. I think one of the biggest differences between, because people, I don't know, it's hard to compare the two between WandaVision and Winter Soldier and Falcon, aside from the fact that they're both MCU properties, is these were two very still different types of shows.
Yeah.
Where WandaVision felt like, and purposely so, it was very episodic.
Yep.
Where it was like every episode there was a reveal and something like this, whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier felt like a 6-part movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't have to have
WandaVision felt like a staircase.
Yeah.
And this felt like, a bridge, a smooth arcing bridge. And some of the guys on mine have said, like, I'm not as excited week to week to watch it. And I'm not like, I don't feel as like concerned about the bad guy in this as I was with that. And it's like, well, yeah, like it's different.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it. Like how different they were. I understand why they're different. It makes sense to me.
Yep.
It's done well. Both of them enthralled me in their own ways. I can't really pick apart these. So yeah, I get that they're different, but I feel like like obviously they're different. So there's a point for it.
Yeah. That one.
Loki is probably going to be vastly different too.
Oh, see that.
Oh yeah.
See, we were talking about that today, where it was like WandaVision was. How did I put it? WandaVision was like local because it took place in the town, but even the feel of the show had a local feel to it.
Right.
Captain America and Winter Soldier had a global feel to it, but Loki feels like it's going to have a even broader. It's not just global; it's
time travel,
time and space. Yeah.
Do you think that Loki's going to go? Do you think Loki will go multiverse as well, or will it stay within the universe and just do time travel, like time and space travel? Do you think they'll start introducing multiverse stuff in that, or do you think?
Multiverse. I think my personally self is multiverse because I think you have to with time travel. Because when you do time travel, the multiverse happens. So at least that's how the Marvel.
If you affect it, absolutely, yeah. If you go in time and you affect somebody, do you think that they will introduce Deadpool through Loki? Because he was time traveling as well.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that till you just said it at the end. When he's like, "We're gonna get weird, baby," and he's jumping on. Dude, if if the idea of Loki is like they brought him into this society that's supposed to like police all this stuff, man, that would be, oh man.
Because we were joking to a degree, obviously. All of our jokes have like a hint of seriousness to him.
Yeah.
If each episode, you get a little bit of Deadpool annoying him. Like this, you introduce him, and then every time he goes to a timeline, Deadpool shows up and he's just like, hey, and he's like annoying him. And then the very like last one is like, or at least one of them is episodically we see him getting more and more annoyed by this Deadpool character that he sees in the timelines. And all of a sudden you see him start an episode where he goes into a new place. And as he goes through, you just see Deadpool there like, and he just goes, no, and like backs back out, like not dealing with it this time. Like, I don't know. Just talking about like funny scenes.
That would be great. Like Loki can't escape him.
Yeah.
Like no matter where Loki goes.
Where Loki's supposed to be the bad, annoying one. And now he's annoyed.
Yeah. And even if it was like a slow build where it's just like you just see him like very briefly in the background just walk, but he still acknowledges not Loki, but the camera. Like
right. Yeah. And we had a discussion about that last night too, which is a funny way to introduce him is like a montage scene where Deadpool is like when they see him, it's like, well, who the hell are you? Or where did you come from? Would be a funny one. Like, where'd you come from? And he's like, oh, I've been there. Or one of those like, I've been here all along. And it shows a montage of like actual movie clips from previous movies, but you see him in the background like, oh shit, did you see what he just did with that shield? And like, you're like, he was not there. We've seen these movies. And then be like, like people that were actually there being like, you weren't there. But like, you don't know if it's from him time traveling, if he did get there, or like it'd just be funny because it's like, you were not there. We've seen those movies already. And he's literally standing next to the Hulk, like, man, he's angry. Like, I don't know. It would just be a funny, dumb montage. There's so many options. It's endless with that.
Hear me out on this one. The classic scene at the end of Avengers where they're at the shawarma restaurant. They're sitting there. He just walks in, grabs some takeout, says hi everybody, and just walks out.
Chimichangas.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, that would be great.
Wade, I'm here for my chimichangas. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Knowing Ryan Reynolds, well, I mean, not knowing, but knowing Ryan Reynolds, I am honestly surprised that he hasn't figured out a way to just mess with people and do that himself.
Right.
You know,
I don't know what kind of leash they have him on because unleashed Ryan Reynolds.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you'd have a cinematic universe because he would just spoil everything.
You know what? After watching the Deadpool movies, I am more convinced that Deadpool is the real character and Ryan Reynolds is the character.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're gonna find out all along that Ryan Reynolds was just the persona, and he's been Wade Wilson the entire time.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen a genuine interview with Ryan Reynolds where he didn't sound like Wade Wilson? Like you look at Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is not The Mask. Jim Carrey is not Fire Marshal Bob. Like when you talk to Jim Carrey, like Jim Carrey is a very soft, intelligent man who likes to be funny, obviously, but he is a political, an aware man. Like he's very dark, which makes sense for his comedy, but he plays characters. And I don't know that Wade Wilson or Deadpool is a character. I think they were just like, just be you. Well, and they said that in the comics, right? Like, what do you look like? I look like Ryan Wilson got bit by a radioactive Sharpie.
Sharpie, yep.
And it was like, that was in the comics before Ryan Reynolds was ever set to play that character. Like they knew that.
Speaking of, it's kind of off topic, but have you seen the latest promo for his Aviation Gin with LeVar Burton? I was done after watching that. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely beautiful.
That was beautiful.
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, it's so dark. Wait, you're still here too?
Yeah,
it's me. And like it's when Ryan Reynolds does the whisper. That's when Deadpool slips out. He's like, "It's so dark in here." I'm like, "No, that's not Ryan Reynolds. That's Wade."
Yeah,
that's Wade.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've had people say that when I did Deadpool, they were like, "God, you sound so much like Ryan Reynolds." It's like I don't hear that. My voice is too deep to me, but yeah, they were like, oh man, like the mannerisms and
No, I've heard you do it when you did the whisper. I was like, oh fuck me, man. It's just
yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, how much longer, Richard, have we got until Loki drops? It's only
June. It's June something.
Yeah.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm calling it now because especially knowing that I always get to Owen Wilson is in it. I want at least one scene. So you're Loki, huh? Wow.
Wow.
You took over New York, huh? Wow.
Wow.
Like, I want it to get to the point where Loki goes, if you say wow one more time, I will banish you to the seven realms,
Yeah. And he's just like, wow, man. That's dark, man.
Yeah, it's June the 11th.
Okay.
Like, I need Loki to just get so infuriated with him doing the wow. Because Loki is, like, very self-aware. Loki is almost, like, Deadpool level self-aware.
Yeah.
And especially now that he's got that cube, he's just like, if you say wow one more time, I swear to God, I will banish you to the seven realms and I will throw you off.
That would be great.
Or even like he turns to somebody else that works at the bureau or whatever it's going to be. It's like, does he do that a lot? And they're like, yeah. Oh, you got that file done? Wow.
I love it.
Oh.
There's always like that one. What's that one impression? Like if you say like, oh, this actor, this character is the thing. Like with Owen Wilson, it's wow. And I learned from Vine back in the day that if you want to do a Nicolas Cage, it's Nicolas Cage cold. So if you want to do a perfect Nicolas Cage impression, it's
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the Nick Cage impression. And I don't know. I feel like everyone's got that thing.
The other one I know exactly what the other one I know is Michael Caine. Okay. Because it said if you want to slip into a Michael Caine impression, you say the words my cocaine, like the drug. This is Michael. If you say that just right, you slip into like that's Michael Caine.
It's Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. What is that? Well, that's Michael Caine. And then you slip into Michael Caine. I'm like, that's Michael Caine. Yeah.
I failed you.
Michael Caine. What's the use of doing all those push-ups if you can't lift, Oh.
Why do we fall down, Master Brain? I can't do it.
Yeah. But we're getting ready to wrap up. I was going to ask you guys, completely off topic. Falcon and Winter Soldier, from beginning to end, that last episode, there was so much about everything on that episode was just great. I like the way that they handled John. I like the way that Sam and Bucky handled John Walker when he showed up at the end, because it was just like, all right, we don't like you,
right?
But right now we need you.
Yeah,
there wasn't they didn't pander to the audience. It's like, oh, we forgive you. No, we still don't like you. You're still an asshole. But
yeah, I wasn't even sure if they needed him or if they were just like, we can't fight both of you right now.
Yeah.
So just like entertain him, let him run around on the set with us.
Yeah. Right now you're actually doing to fight. You would do more harm than good. At least right now we have a common enemy. They
gave him a chance to redeem himself. It wasn't a redemption. He's not redeemed for what he's done, but it showed that there is a bit of humanity in him. And I think that's important to show that he's just not a monster. You need to keep him complicated. And that was a good way to do that.
And I think that him as an actor, I feel so bad for him because he's one of those ones that fell into that dark, people mistake him for the character moments, but
right. Well, he got like death threats. Like, come on, man.
I know. Like, come on, man. Like Sam said, do better,
Yeah, like I get that if anything, it's a compliment to say that you're doing your part well. But like, really? Like, what the hell's wrong with a person? That's what we talked about before. How do you not only have the thought, but then you take the time to write it down, then you take the time to send it. So at that point, you've had multiple times to look at yourself and be like, I'm an asshole. And you went all the way through with it, and you sent a death threat to an actor for doing his job properly.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But he handled that role so well because, again, like you said, I'm not even calling him a villain, but what makes great villains is when they do what they do because they genuinely believe it's right. Mm-hmm. Everything that he did, he genuinely believed that he was. I mean, he kind of snapped and lost his shit.
Yeah.
But he still thought he was doing the right thing. And the other thing I liked about at the end when they showed his wife and Contessa, he's still married. He's still a redeemable enough person.
Yeah.
And
he was excited. Like, seeing him excited didn't feel bad. You felt a little bit excited for him to have his new persona because he kind of redeemed himself a bit that episode. So then you see like, oh, like, one, you're just happy to see the suit. Like, yes, we're getting, and the name, like, it is U.S. agent. They're doing it right. But yeah, like to show a little bit of redemption and then to show him being excited and happy, it's like you can feel excited for him in that moment and still know he's gonna fuck it up. Like, obviously.
And I think he was excited in that moment because to be Captain America is a great honor, but I think he realized that this was he fit this, the way she explained it to him, he fit this job better, and he was more excited about it.
The world doesn't need to call on Captain America.
Yeah.
What the world needs is to call on a U.S. agent. So then you're also telling him the world needs you.
Yeah. Oh, she manipulated him so brilliantly. Oh, yeah. She played him so well.
Yeah.
It was funny. You told me you were talking about the shield and stuff, and I was trying to look up. I just realized something on top of something I forgot about all this stuff that was going on with him and stuff. The Secret Empire. Do you guys remember that from the comic book? There was 9 forces, and that was the power broker was in charge of the Secret Empire and stuff. So are they going to work that storyline into this? It really looks in my mind, it clicks that there's this other. Because I was thinking it was when Val was introduced to stuff, it was going to be the Russian version, but Val actually worked even with the Secret Empire stuff, I guess. Because I was reading through that. I forgot all about that timeline because I bought those books, but I don't have those caps anymore to go back and reread because I gave them to somebody else to read. So it's like, I forgot all about that. There's a whole storyline called the Secret Empire that was supposedly manipulating the whole Marvel universe from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this show, especially, even I would say even more, it's kind of like WandaVision was directly leading up to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But Captain America and Winter Soldier is leading up to all of Marvel's future.
Yeah.
It's a lot broader. And I've had this conversation with people before where it was like after Endgame, it's like, oh, the Marvel movies are going to be over because they've used everybody. It's like, no, they brought out the big guns.
Yeah.
But like they have barely scratched the surface of their talent pool.
And I know you guys want to like wrap it up, so you don't have to go down the discussion hole maybe for another time. But we had talked about like you're saying, they're building up all these things. They keep hinting at all these things. Well, they've got, I'm caught on that. They're hinting at Secret Invasion, which we know is going to happen.
Yeah.
But they're hinting at this now hard, like showing the characters. At the end of WandaVision, it was Secret Invasion. At the end of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it's Secret Invasion. So I think that there's a chance, knowing that they're working with Sony now and they're starting to get more access to the rights. I didn't know that that's how the comic line went, but Secret Invasion directly led to the Venom symbiote getting onto Spider-Man to where he got the black suit and went stealth. And then it left and went to Eddie Brock. Now, we already have Eddie Brock in the universe, but...
Well, that was the Secret Wars.
That was Secret War.
Right.
That was years before Secret Invasion.
Okay. I wonder if they'll use that as the opportunity, though, to bring in... Spider-Man and Venom together. I'm curious if they'll work this in somehow.
Yeah.
You are right. Secret Wars, you are absolutely right. Yeah. Because I remember that cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because Peter Parker found the the Semite on that Secret War planet because it was like some kind of machine. Because they didn't have it as being a living thing at first until he came back to Earth. I think wasn't that how it was?
He legitimately thought it was a fabric replicator. Like he needed to create it. His costume got damaged, and he thought he was just making a new suit.
Right.
But it turned out, I think it was kind of one of those: go down to the hallway and make 2 lefts and a right. Yeah. And Peter Parker being Parker made 2 rights and a left. And it's like, oh, this is the Taylor room. Like, no, that's the symbiote prison room. One of those situations.
Yeah.
I can't believe that first issue when the Spider-Man's selling that like crazy. That what is this, issue 300, where the first introduction of Venom is selling like through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to dig out my 3 copies. I might have to pay for college.
Get that stuff graded.
I don't think I have a lot of like worthy stuff at this point. The only 2 I hang up is I actually do have first appearance of Deadpool, Mutants 98, like New Mutants number 98. I do have the actual original copy.
Yep.
And then the other one I have hanging, which really isn't even that big of a deal, is the What If Jane Foster had become Thor from the What If line. And I was like, well, it's not really a what if because she does, but I don't know. I liked that copy, so I had framed that one. But the other thing I have right now is I have 1, 4, 5, 6 of the original Infinity Gauntlet run. Actually, Kramer called up Bell Book Comic in Dayton, and he asked him about it. He goes, "Hey, my buddy's got 1, 4, 5, 6. Any chance you could find 2 and 3 for him?" And he's like, "I just literally went and bought a box. And it's got all 6 in it." He goes, "I'll pull 2 and 3 and put it in your folder." I was like, "Oh my God." So I do have my complete Infinity War Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. But that's not going to pay for college, but
yeah.
Makes me happy.
So Adam, we're getting ready to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining. Adam, I really legitimately miss. I miss seeing you. I can't wait until everything starts to normalize a little bit and we get together again.
Absolutely.
Loving your podcast. You want to take a moment and tell everybody who might be watching and or listening where they can find your stuff?
It's called Fandomonious. We have fandomonious.com. We just started a big cartel to sell pins and stickers, and we are in the process of doing our t-shirts. We have all social media I can think of, at least. We did Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all just at Fandomonious, and it's fandom and then Onious, Onious. A lot of people have trouble with that, which I understand. It's a dumb made up word that we came up with. I like the idea of nerdist. He explained where the name came from. Like it's you're a nerd, but the ist on what that means. And I was looking up, I don't remember the name of those, but when you add the ending to the word. Yeah. So I looked up what different things were, and onious means of or pertaining to. So fandomonious means of or pertaining to fandom. It's a made up word, but it's based off of real English. So at Fandomonious for everything. And then we even did like Vero. We're trying to get Twitch going a little more, but and then as far as like listening, it should be about everything. We use Buzzsprout as a host site, and we've linked up everything we could possibly think to link it up to, and then it links it up to even more that you don't have control over. So you should be able to find it.
I know I get your show through Spotify. That's how I listen to it. So I know that's definitely a place where a lot of people can listen to you at.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts are some of our bigger ones. And then unknown apps pops up a lot in our stats. So I don't know what they're using, but it's working. So, but yeah, it's just pop culture. That's all it is. We just talk about current pop culture. So stuff like what you guys just did today, talk about a show that's coming out right now happening. We talk about, we dive down to, like in the 90s, what was your favorite cartoons, and, who's your favorite actors? We get into music. So it's just, it's literally friends talking about stuff that entertains us. It's that simple. There's nothing deep about it.
You want deep and serious, go listen to Mark Maron. You're not going to find that here.
We're not talking politics, religion, economics. We're just like, dude, that one power, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Adam. I absolutely love it. We want to have you back on. I was just happy to have you on just to see you and talk to you. I haven't got a chance to talk to you in a long time, and I really do miss you. And
miss you too.
Rick,
and I'm glad to actually get to meet Richard, because like I met you, I know for sure at the library in Salina. We did an event.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing a little snippet for your thing, and I think you talked to me, and that was the first time I really got to meet you. I've probably seen you at some events, but from listening to you guys, trying to catch you on Twitch when you guys record if I can, it's nice to meet you, and
cool.
I appreciate
the
opportunity.
good to meet you too.
Yep. Rich, if you would let everybody who's watching and or listening know where they can find all of us at.
We're at undergroundvideonetwork.com. And of course, there you can find all our social links. We're on Facebook, YouTube, you name it. The live streams on YouTube, Twitch, and YouTube, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, I said that. And then find the audio streams wherever audio is available. We're on Spotify, iTunes, or whatever it's called now, podcasts, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. So you can find them in different locations. Just go to undergroundvideonetwork.com and all the links are there.
So on behalf of Richard Catterjohn and myself, Mike Boroff, thank you again, Adam, for joining us. We hope everybody out there is staying safe and healthy, and hopefully really soon we'll get to run into you live at a show, a con, or just at a comic book store. So thanks everybody for listening and or watching. And Richard, if you would kindly please press the button.